Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and this evening I have the distinct honor of having two storytellers, lenses beyond the word lens. They have dissected and disseminated the culture of hip hop, the Staten Island Story, in a three-part docu-series that is amazing. There are some untold gems that you don't hear about in hip hop. And a lot of it begins in Staten Island. I didn't know that Staten Island was broken into sides and all kinds of, man, I learned so much. We have the curator and directors of the culture of hip hop, the Staten Island Story, CarlLu and Lebron, better known as CarlLu, the team that brought us this story. I got to tell you, it's beautifully shot. It's in depth.
Thank you.
Got valuable content from those who made it happen. You know, from House G of the UMCs to you got the chef on there, don't you? You got you God pops in. You got everybody that cat, uncle, and dog that we should know and don't know, but are about to learn about through this docu-series. They're on there. Very important and relevant part of hip hop history. Thanks for being with us, fellas.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
having us.
Man, you know, I'm long-winded, but I really felt the story and having, you know, a friend from that era, you know, and having interviewed several of the Wu for Hype and hung out with them at South by Southwest in the middle of the street. You know what I mean? Like, just as people to learn the story, some of the beginnings, those that even came before, you know, RZA started doing his thing, to learn some of the roots of Staten Island hip hop. That was an amazing history. I guess we start off with Carl. We're gonna go alphabetically, so you know,
Okay.
it ain't nothing against you, LL. I promise.
No, it's all good. But like I
Uh,
said, thanks for having us. But
all right. So, Carl, I guess the question becomes, is the most appropriate is from the inside looking out. Tell us about Carl and what made you become the documentarian that you have become and to celebrate hip hop the way that you do.
well, I just think that for myself and Lou, actually majority of our childhood years living on Staten Island, and we love hip hop, the music and everything, just all around the four elements of hip hop. So we wanted to tell the story of Staten Island where when you even the five boroughs, we was known as the Forgotten Borough. So besides Wu-Tang, a lot of people don't know a lot of different groups and artists that came from Staten Island that made an impact on Staten Island, still made an impact. So we wanted to spotlight on some of the groups maybe you didn't know about it. I just remember one time when we were screening it at a film festival and somebody like, oh wow, the UMCs. I thought they was from Brooklyn. So we just wanted to tell the rich history from the Force MDs to Shaheem, King Just, and numerous artists from Staten Island that a lot of people didn't know about, but really made an impact on on Staten Island. So that's how we chose to actually we filmmakers, we went to film school many years ago. So we just wanted just to have a documentary and show Staten Island true talent and everything. So that's how myself and Luke came up with this idea, this documentary.
Now,
can,
just
now
to,
can I
yes,
can,
sir.
can I
Yes,
can I add on to that too for a
yes,
quick
sir.
second?
Yes.
Um, I just want to take you back. So also we grew up in Staten Island where, block parties and DJ cutting and then, like before school they would have like a Park Hill Day or West Brighton Day, various neighborhoods, and just like the other boroughs, we jammed to the music and we jammed to Grandmaster Flash and all the artists that was out there, Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh, and we grew up on music. So the influence, came from the upper borough Bronx and what they contribute. And we used to all pop, lock, and dance and do all wanted to be DJs. And it was a culture before Wu-Tang ever came out here. So you would start with maybe the Force MDs as we dive into the Force MCs and their journey. And they used to come out to the different block parties and do their little routines. And we was inspired from that point. So once we got to a point where we felt like it's a lot of storytelling. It's like, for example, you have Pop the Brown Hornet, who his solo career was MCA, but he also was in a group, GP Wu, that also was signed with MCA. You got UMCs that actually was with Wild Pitch, and they came out of nowhere to be in Wild Pitch. That was unheard of for Staten Island artists. Mm-hmm. And of course, Wu-Tang and the history of Loud Records, and they went on Def Jam and so on and so forth. But you also had a lot of artists that spanked just for spanked. He's another guy that he's a young generation, and he actually is on Hot 97 105. So the torch has been passed, but it's so many, like, we felt we were selfish that young guys in other boroughs didn't know about our artists here. And there's a lot of time. And of course, we can't forget about Shaheem, who he was a young guy. And not only did he sign with Virgin, one of the youngest signed with Virgin at the time, but he also wanted to be on TLC, and they wanted him to be on the video, and he was a major player. Parenthood he was on. So what I'm saying is that it's so much culture, and if you dive into all the 3 episodes, you're going to find out the history, as you was talking about, not just Wu-Tang, but of other various artists who helped pull this chain.
I had the benefit of learning about a lot of new artists, and I haven't had a chance to, do the deep dive and go digging. But the fact that Staten Island it wasn't a big topic of conversation during the official Hip Hop 50, series and celebrations. It could, to me, it could have been a stronger featured topic as we talk about the fabric of hip hop at all. You know what I mean? Not to take away from any other boroughs, but Staten Island brought its own flavor, its own style. The lyricism is equal to anything that came out of the other boroughs, if not better. Now Haas is my friend, so okay, I might just, be a little bit, but I mean, the brothers have their picture, on Martin as the backdrop in the Martin series. Soul Train, they was Crisscross before Crisscross was Crisscross. Haas come out in that damn, what you call it, overalls with one strap hanging down and a hoodie. The Force MDs, of course, everybody, come on now, that kicked it off. Just right as breaking was starting to hit. The Force MDs were the first ones that I saw on like video music box. And I'm from the West, and I used to dial in the video, Ray Daniels video music box, bro. And dial in and sit there stuck on stupid waiting on my video to come through. And the Force MDs was it, I think I teased bro, I did interview him. I teased him about them sweatshirts. I said, I'm still looking in the vintage shop for the sweatshirts y'all used to wear, the sweaters that they used to wear the Force. I'm looking for something that style, right? And we were having a little fun with it. So not only was it music, it was fashion, a whole different sense of style. Force MDs came with that grown-up preppy kind of instead of that grimy. And then here come the rest of everybody else said, well, look, grime doesn't live just in the Bronx or the boogie
You're
down
right.
right here in Staten Island. We it's real here too, you know, and we're boxed in and cut off. And so,
Exactly.
you know, total disadvantage, right? So how I think one of the things I found interesting was how the Staten Island sound interjected itself into the main fabric of hip hop in those other boroughs. Can you guys discuss that change,
Yeah,
that benchmark?
yeah. I just think that Staten Island, we as a whole just had to prove that we could be just like the different boroughs and everything. So I think artists from Staten Island knew they have to even come harder because at the end of the day, when you say Staten Island, you think of the houses, the Great Kill landmark, and everything, but you don't see the different fabrics of MCs on Staten Island as a whole to now. So I just think we just got styles from every different borough, and also we add our own unique style to come up with a unique sound from Staten Island and everything. And I think once that hit, it seemed like the whole Staten Island got behind each other because just like other boroughs in Brooklyn, we have your neighborhoods. We have our same neighborhoods, you know, the different housing projects and everything where everybody became united just to get that original sound out there. So I think that's what the unique thing about Staten Island music that we just had to go extra hard just to prove ourselves to the other boroughs that we on the same level or even better. So that was just the whole attitude of Staten Island. And once the door opened up for the other artists to emerge.
And I think also we wasn't trying to be like nobody else. I think when you see Staten Island artists comes out, the appeal is this is us. We're not trying to be like nobody else. Everybody else, we respect them, but Staten Island, we got a way we do things out here. And I think it's translated in the music, in the recordings, just the talk, the different slang. When we got a chance to do videos and the world got a chance to see where we come from, they were surprised because they thought that we was in Oklahoma somewhere and it wasn't no black people or nothing. And so to see us own swag and our own identity, I think that transcended to everybody else once we show our talent to the world.
Is there a definitive that separates the Staten Island sound from the other boroughs? Because I'm gonna just tell you this, bro. I'm from the West, right?
Yes.
East Coast rappers sound the same to me. I'm an outsider. I know that it's from the East Coast. I can't tell you that, oh, that's the Bronx sound. That's, the Brooklyn sound. I'm not educated enough to decipher that. And that's the Staten Island sound. So, what is the differentiator, if there's anything specific, besides that it's an amalgamation of everything that came out of, you know, the birth of hip hop? What is really the differentiator between that Staten Island sound and
I,
the rest?
I think on a whole that when you say Staten Island, even some of the lyrics of some of the artists, we paint a picture of, I'm saying the early 90s, of the certain things that we've been dealing with. And for instance, drugs, racism, where you have KRS Ones talking about, you have all these different groups, Nas talking about drugs and everything, certain environment. So I think as a whole, as from what you're saying, as a West Coast person with the East Coast, these are the things that kind of manifest in our lyrics on Staten Island. But I think the whole thing, what the world didn't know, they didn't know that Staten Island had housing projects. They didn't know Staten Island had drugs. They didn't know it was drive-bys, that you had gangs and everything. So I think that was the difference when you say the Staten Island sound, that it was New York City, but so-called suburbia, because one side, the North Shore and the South Shore, you have some of the $1 million homes over there, and everything. And on the North Shore, it's like a whole different it's a whole different structure of Staten Island where it's predominantly minorities and everything. But see, we living through the same facts. The crack era destroyed a lot of families. So a lot of stuff the people, the MC's been talking about, just like Brooklyn, the Bronx, and everything. So I just think in the whole Staten Island sound is similar to the other boroughs, but people didn't know from outside Staten Island that y'all have all the same issues as Brooklyn and Bronx and everything going on in Queens.
And I'm gonna tell
Go ahead.
you part of the early days of the Staten Island sound, and is a guy before RZA. It's a guy named R&S, and R&S, some of the people he dealt with was Shaheem, Pop the Brown Hornet. Pop the Brown Hornet did Black on Black Crime, GP Wu, but King Just, UMCs, and this guy, he was really important to the earliest sounds because a lot of the hits that you was hearing from these artists was from him, like UMCs. He did a lot of work with them. Shaheem, he did a lot of work with them. King Just, the famous Hey Ya Hey Ya Ho, that was a big hit, and he was able to take what Carl was saying, people culture, but he was able to create their own personal sound for them. So how the RZA did it, R&S kind of like took. So because all these groups wasn't from the same place, wasn't the same age. So you think about it, you had Shaheem, who was like 14, 13, 14 years old, and he created a sound for him just for his age group. King Just might have been 15, 16, UMCs might have been 16, 17, but everybody had their own sound with their own, how they grew up. So Shaheem didn't grow up like UMCs, but R&B was able to take who they was and mash it all together. And that's how he was very influenced on doing the early days of Staten Island sound. And then it graduated to RZA.
Okay. And now, when we talk about Shaheem, that youngster was really the most famous character in hip hop, from hip hop, from going from, the breaking movies on to, when you're Moesha or
Parenthood.
The Phantom Matters?
Parenthood.
Parenthood.
Yes.
Yeah. With the hanging with Mr. Cooper guy.
Yeah.
Parenthood. Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. To be he had personality. And
yes.
I hear, the legends have it that he's like 12, 13 up in the clubs on stage getting it in. You know what I mean? And leading the pack because of his personality and his charisma, and stylistically and mentally, he was saying things even the older cats weren't addressing in his music. So Shaheem is one of the most, from my era, my age, recognizable but I didn't know he was from Staten Island. I just knew he was from New York. I thought it was just cool as fuck. Excuse my language. And I'm like, damn, who's this little dude? I wanted to be an actor kind of like him. And I'm like, I ended up in the military. Just total diametrically opposite of anything that I thought I might want to do. But it was just fun to watch him. It was fun.
It was. Can you imagine? You said his age, right? Can you imagine a young guy from Staten Island at Madison Square Garden on a stage with Tupac, Biggie Small, Big Daddy Kane?
You're right. Yep.
3 iconics from, West Coast to the East Coast, and holding his own on stage. I mean, this guy is incredible.
Right, too. Yeah. And he was very humble because we played sports growing up. So it was this big gym called Crownwell Center. So we used to go there and play basketball. So I used to always see this little kid there. And it was Shaheem. He was always at the first court before everybody get there, because that was the court with all the action at. So he was always practicing there. And then years later, that's Shaheem the rapper? I was like, wow. Even for me, it shocked me because he was so humble. And then with him, a few years later, it was like Shaheem this, Shaheem that, and everything. This humble kid from playing basketball at Crownwell Center in Staten Island.
Right. And he's got an amazing story. Everybody has their ups and downs. Sometimes I think being famous when you're a kid, it brings an extra pressure. And when you got the elders, the OGs that you're looking up to you, what I mean? That's an additional pressure. Then you've got the cameras on and whatnot. So it's difficult sometimes to
You're right.
let that marinate without some guidance from somebody who's been there. You
Yeah,
know, I think that may have been what was missing, but I'm happy to see him back rocking again
Yes, he definitely
and,
is. Yes.
and, and telling his story. And so this, for me, you know, this is a gem of education that I get um, in watching, the story, the Staten Island story. That just brings a lot of things home for me,
thank you.
and to hear
Thank you. Yeah.
from you guys did an amazing job. Look, this
Thank you.
show is streaming on pretty much every streaming platform from Roku to DirecTV, iTunes, Apple TV, YouTube. Look, it's worth to sit down. I actually downloaded them. They sent them to me for screeners, and I actually downloaded them. Thank God they weren't password
Yeah.
checked. So on my hard drive.
Thank
Great.
And I mean, it's just worth having that in your collection. If it were, you know, a super ebony magazine or rap pages, magazine, one of those collections, it would be one of those collector items, but it's only available in the digital form and the streaming form. It's an essential part of your hip hop education. The
I
culture
agree.
of hip hop, the Staten Island story, is more than just meth and his crispness and his cleverness. It's more than Shaheem, bringing the grimy from the beginning as a
Mhm.
youngster. You know what I mean? It's more than the forceps, the UMCs coming out, spitting that poppy, let's dance stuff. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Blue cheese is still an icon for
Yeah.
that. You feel me? So what was the most fun for you guys as both the writers and the directors in putting this together?
I think it was just when we first started out, myself and Lou was like, let's do this documentary. So the fun part about it was once we got one particular artist, we started getting another artist and just telling a story with it and just making the world see that, okay, it's something here on Staten Island. So I think for myself, the best part of it was when it was all done, we put it in the can and we was like, Lou, you know what? I think we got something to educate and tell the rest of the world about Staten Island. So that was my best part of it. And
Okay. CarlLu, you want to weigh in on that?
I think the best part was, and you might could understand it also, is that when you believe in something and you feel like it's a good concept and you start filming it to show the world what we've been seeing for decades, and the world can kind of see your vision and enjoy it. And a person like you who's seen it, appreciate it, I think that's the best part for me, is showing what we already knew and what we already saw, what we heard, and you get it translate into you saying it's a wonderful job. I think that was the best part for me is
exactly.
I,
And let's not be shy because you guys have got some film festival exposure too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
Let's not,
yeah.
well, don't be shy. Let's holler up top. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. We was I mean, like you said, we first started with the film festival where we won even in Germany, we won best documentary in Germany. We was also in the Harlem Film Festival. We was actually in I believe in Virginia. So we had a list of different film festivals that we was just testing the ground at. And as it was in those film festivals, we were still working on it, getting more interviews just to make it the final cut of what we wanted to at the end of the day and everything. So yeah, so it been a journey and we are proud because at the end of the day, like you said, CarlLu Production, it is a two-man team where we direct, we edited everything, the finances, we did everything out of our pockets, myself and Lou and everything. So definitely we appreciate for what we did, and we appreciate that other people like you who from the West could really appreciate the story.
Amazing story. It's an amazing story. I had fun with it, and I downloaded it on purpose so when I can go, I travel a bit as a professor, and
Right.
you got to have something to watch that is worth your time and can, distract you pleasantly from the screaming babies and the snorers and whatnot. And I feel like going to sleep on a plane is kind of like a waste of time. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
time to study and prepare yourself for what
Yes.
you're getting ready and make use of it. And I spend my little $8 for the Wi-Fi so I can actually answer emails and whatnot while I'm in flight. So this was valuable to me, and sitting in a room rather than answering emails, I can entertain myself and educate myself and edify myself um, with something, because I continue to love hip hop even at my age. Some of it's kind of divergent, and but the culture and the fabric of hip hop remains the same. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I noticed that people are coming back to it. So what I had noticed, particularly, the Wu Productions, look, they are what they are. They're constant. Meth and them, they're going to do what they do every single day, right? But to see the reach out. So Haas G had this cat out of Kansas City called Scritchmatic, and they just redid a piece. What is that? Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
They
Yep.
just redid it to see young lyricists that are clever, witty, use metaphors, and have an entertaining style reach back to, a two-time Grammy nominated producer from
Right.
Staten Island who's not in the forefront right now, but the youngsters are recognizing the value. The clip that I saw of Kanye making a choice between UMC's tape and somebody else's record and picking
You're
the
right.
UMC's tape.
Yes.
Come on, bro. That
That's
that is legendary.
nah,
That
you're right.
Yeah, yeah,
speaks to, you know, the island, a
yeah,
representative of the island back then, before Kanye even broke, right? To a youngster who's breaking, saying, I'm going right back into that pot, that island where that sound came out of. Come on,
right.
bro. You know, yeah. So
Yeah.
I get excited. I'm sorry, he's my friend.
Nah, there's a right too.
I'm gonna shout him out. But beyond that part, when you look at the visual, you got the blank canvas and you're painting this masterpiece, and where do the strokes go? Shit, Staten Island is a huge feature within the portrait.
Yes.
And what you've done is bring it back to the forefront. I would like to know, because journalists, we have our own agendas and we get caught in our own traps, mental traps, thinking that we know something and are bringing out important information. I would like to know, is there a question that we in the media have failed to ask you that you would love to answer, not only about Staten Island and its part in hip hop, but the documentary and what it, means to you and how it's been represented? I mean, we could cover a whole bunch of stuff, but I just want to make sure that we talk about what's important to you as well.
Mm.
Yeah. I just think as a media, I just think that some of the questions that myself and Lou wanted to ask the media was pretty much that Staten Island culture of hip hop need some documentation on Staten Island. So we chose at that time to do a documentary on it because everybody on Staten Island is so much talent And like I said, I'm gonna repeat it over and over. The first thing is Wu-Tang. We just wanted just to emphasize on the other groups, like for instance, UMCs, where I remember days I used to go to High's house and we used to play around. And then now I'm seeing everybody in the world watch Martin. Now seeing the cover album on the Martin show. So that's big right there. That's very big. So we just wanted just to highlight on some of the things on Staten Island, and we wanted the media to know that Staten Island, there is a lot of culture out here.
Yeah, and for me, I think that one of the questions from the media is kind of like to ask is what was your determination on finishing this project? Because over a 4 year period, it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of, one time Carl and myself, an artist said, yeah, meet us here. And we waited over 6 hours to meet him. And then we didn't get the interview, but we never gave up. We never felt sorry for ourselves. We said, we know it's a good project and let's keep going. So I think what I would like, if you answer the question, then I think you'll find out that the most important thing for no matter what's your profession, never give up. Don't take no for an answer. If you feel like something is important to you, the only way that you could do this is hard work. And that's what Carl and myself put into this project. Hard work. It's good, but it was hard work. But we felt like we had to tell this story to the world because, like I said before, we felt selfish that only we knew the story. And we also, at our age, let's say, going back to DJ Red Alert and all the old school artists and music video box, like you said, Ralph McDaniel, which he happened to be in the documentary.
Yes, I saw. Yes.
And to get all these people, but we also in part 3 start to tell you about the new generation. And I think even with you and your profession, I think it's very important for the old generation to pass the torch to the new generation, to educate the new generation so that they can have an appreciation of the older generation. Because without the older generation, you don't get to this. Like sometimes the world is based on money. So sometimes these kids, they come in and make 100,000 and say, oh, I make more than your father. But it was sweat to get to your point. So I think we showed that we able to digest the great things that our generation, like UMC, Shaheem, Wu-Tang, but we also, by the time we get to part 3, we also bring in the new generation. We pass the torch. So I think that's, I want people to know about this project also.
I got to weigh in on that. The pain of being in journalism, trying to get that interview that you've been craving, that key piece that fits in the puzzle, you know what I mean? That you just gotta have it. I have gone through that. I have done interviews as late as 1 o'clock in the morning because they had 20 minutes for me,
Yes.
20 sessions. And I'm like, I don't care. Set my alarm, or get my butt up, or miss the interview, miss the interview finally, you know. But when it does come together, it's fulfilling and
Yes.
it's satisfying. And especially, if they go ahead and give you all the juice out the meat, you feel me?
Right.
They don't hold back. They give you the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the green
Yeah.
beans, everything to go with it. Then
It's a great night.
yeah, that's a great night, bro.
Yeah.
You feel mentally and spiritually full when an interview turns from interview to conversation.
Yes.
That is an honor and a privilege to have. And it's so exciting that just give you the smiles, for weeks. It does me. I'm sensitive like that.
Same here. Trust me. Same here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I relate to you. What do you want for those serious minds what do you feel like you would like to have as the biggest takeaway from the series for those that seriously evaluate, document and annotate hip hop moving forward, and to the youngsters who are exploring their roots, so to speak, in the culture?
I think that we want to take away from the documentary, first of all, that if you have a dream to do something, always go for it. That's the first thing we want. We want to just like sometime where it don't have to be major companies backing you. If you have a dream, you take those little steps, and those little steps are going to be giant steps at one time. So for the youth, wanted just to look at it where, okay, this is the history of Staten Island. How could we see this documentary and make our own history where you see all of these founders making history of Staten Island? How could we be the founders and make history and also take it from also music? I mean, a documentary about music, but also in other different genres or just life and everything. You know, not just music, entertainment. It could be, okay, I was this big music artist and now I'm a big CEO owning all these different tech companies. So we just wanted to show a takeaway is that myself and Lou is like the 1-2 punch, and we were just determined to get this done regardless and everything. So that's one to take away when people get more into the story to look at it like, wow, I'm looking at the credits and all I see is Carl Lewis, Carl Lewis, Carl Lewis, and they really stuck to this and everything. Where at certain times, some people seeing us, you know, working and everything was like, oh, y'all still working on that project? But we just still kept with it. We're like, it's a process. We want it the right way because when it hit the world, we want everybody to look at it and like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then that's what I received from certain tech. I didn't know that about Staten Island. I didn't know that about Staten Island. So we want to, as a journalist, kind of get certain facts that people don't know about it. Where it could be like a learning experience also, and also entertainment.
Yeah, and I I want them to know also, as me and my partner just discussed, teamwork. And in
Right.
this social media era, and the young people, they seem like they don't want to listen to the old generation. And you have to, both people have to get together. And when you see this project, it was a project of some of my partner idea, some of my idea, but as a team, we got together to come and get a great documentary. So if you in college, if you in, just growing up, 9 to 5 world, it's people that came before you who have some knowledge. And in today's world, what we offer is not a high premium on no more. And you need each other. The young can bring you some knowledge, but the older generation can bring some knowledge too. And when we go from a timeline from the old to the new, I just want the younger generation to know where they came from, to know where the creative matter came from. And
Mm.
then when you take that knowledge, put your own twist, put your own thing, but just don't say, well, this they old, they don't know what they talking about is new snow. This helped create because before this, you had the Sugar Hill game. You had Grand Flash and the Furious Five. Um, you had the Disco Four, and you had all these generation that helped bring in. And before you had Wu Tang and NWA and that type of rap, it was the Heavy D's and the MC Lights, and all areas help grow and groom this area. So it's like in basketball, you had Dr. J, but Dr. J helped to these other players making max salary 269 million, but without Dr. J and the other people who came after him, you don't get to this point. So I think we want to show that everybody's opinions are valuable. And if you work together, you can have a project like this.
Man, 3-part series, The Culture of Hip Hop, The Staten Island Story. Part 3 debut July
Second.
2nd.
Yes.
It premiered July 2nd, but part 1 and 2 have been out for a while. What was the timeline? How long was it? Like you started this in what, 2014?
We started in like 2019, give or
2019.
take. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Obviously a labor of love. Those other journalists who have been out there, you know what it is to stand and wait online for Snoop to come by and give you a 30-second, you know.
Yes.
And he's a busy man. He may show up while down later than you expected, but when he comes, he gives his all. So
Yes.
I think the beautiful thing about when you did get what you needed, they didn't hold back. They
Yes.
gave you what was needed to tell the story properly.
Exactly.
And so it was well worth it. Dedication, intestinal fortitude to stay the course brings about an amazing project. It made, you know, 10 years is an overnight success in the industry. That's what they say, right?
Yes.
If it takes you almost 10 years to tell this story, you've done it well, because guess what? You went all the nooks and crannies, the laundry room houses, the barber shops, on
Yeah.
the corner, in the grocery store, the bodegas. You sat down, had cafecito, you know what I mean? And talked to everybody. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Staten Island is not just a beautiful tourist place. It's an isolated, powerful, iconic location inside the culture of hip hop. They had to power their way across a long bridge. Y'all got to take a boat, pretty much, right? To get from the island to the mainland.
Yeah. Or you want to take the Verrazano Bridge? That's about $30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, you know the tolls in New York drive me nuts.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to come out of Jersey. I think I come out into Manhattan when I come from the international airport in
Yes.
Jersey. You come across that bridge, the Statue of Liberty is on your right-hand side in the distance. Bro, I missed my turnoff to get to the Statue of Liberty. I didn't know there was only one time that you could get off that daggone bridge.
Yeah, you gotta go.
And they want you to pay an arm and a leg to get.
That's
like,
right.
wow. From now
They
on,
sure do.
yes, I'm just going to use my picto camera and click my little click.
There you go.
With the little card, you remember the little slide. Anyway, man, what an amazing story! What an amazing story! You can actually now. I want you to go visit them on DirecTV. I want you to go to their YouTube. I want you to go to their platforms. But I gotta say this. You can find all 3 of these also in my exclusive feature story.
Exactly.
On thehypemagazine.com. All you gotta do is just type in Staten Island. There's only one feature story on the island by me.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
So you can actually see all 3 of them right there. That still gives them their streams on YouTube.
Right.
But you can watch it on the Hype too. I'm very proud to say that.
Thank you.
And honored that we were given that exclusive sneak peek before episode 3 popped off. And so I'm gonna shout it out. And now I got CarlLu on the tube.
Yeah.
Shout out some more. So get ready for the second round and definitely check it out. Social media, website, what would you like them to find CarlLu, the production?
It's on Instagram, CarlLu Production, and on Facebook, CarlLu, actually.
All right. The Hype Magazine live sessions. Carl Jr. Lewis Lebron. The culture of hip hop, the Staten Island Story, the Hype Magazine live sessions. Heroes, media heroes, journalistic heroes for what you've done here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're out.
Peace, my brother.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Cause I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Cause I'm black.
It's really important that we build characters.
Up yours!
so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out to Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.